Good morning, and thank you for being here for this update related to Monroe County Schools. As you're aware, this past Sunday, New York State announced that masking would no longer be required in our schools. So districts have spent the past couple of days preparing for that change. I think it's important to point out that there are some who celebrate this change, and there will be others who are very nervous about this change. Regardless, I want to say as a representative for all school leaders in our county, we're very appreciative of the support and flexibility and patience of our students and their families, our staff, as we prepare to yet again make another change that's going to impact the environment in our classrooms. So having said that, I will take your questions.
Hi, Dalton Williams with 13 WHAM here. My first question, it's going to be kind of a lengthy question, so bear with me. So I know Dr. Mendoza said yesterday in his address that he would be meeting with superintendents from across the county and everything. Has he already met with y'all? And if so, what are the plans in case a COVID case does arise? And what are the kind of like the self-isolation guidelines going to be?
So we will be meeting with Dr. Mendoza. We've been in regular communication with him and his team throughout the pandemic, and especially over the course of the past few weeks as we began discussing, what the off-ramp would look like if we were to relax masking mandates in schools. I think it's a given that there will have to be some adjustments made to regulations around quarantine and isolation. But we expect that guidance will come from the state, and we expect that guidance will be released very soon. Okay. In the event that we began to see a surge in cases again, then I expect that if there were to be additional restrictions placed on schools again, then that would come from the state and the county level.
All right, and then I know that it is kind of up to the school districts if they also want to alleviate any of the masking mandates. So what's Rush Henrietta going to do? And then have you heard of any school districts that don't plan to lift the mask mandate?
At this point, I haven't heard of any districts who are going to continue masking. And in Rush Henrietta, we have a special board meeting scheduled this evening where I'm going to be making the recommendation that we go mask optional.
And then how is that going to look on the buses? Are they going to still have to wear masks, or does that also apply to going to and from schools?
Our understanding is that the same rules would apply on the bus.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Hey, Bo, we've had these conversations for the last 2 years, and it's always like we're always seems to be waiting for state guidance. I mean, the change is tomorrow. Parents are planning on tomorrow. Do you foresee any major obstacles in whatever guidance comes out from the state that would change that? What are you hearing at a superintendent level about when it's coming and what it might say?
Well, we certainly expected the guidance to come sooner, but I think that districts will be prepared one way or the other tomorrow. I haven't heard of anyone that is recommending to continue to mask at this point. As I said here in Rush Henrietta, but I mean ultimately it's the board's decision and they'll have to act tonight. But my recommendation is that we transition to a plan that allows for optional masking. And even though we haven't seen the guidance that we expect to come out of the State Department of Health, I don't foresee anything standing in the way of us being able to move forward with this change tomorrow.
For parents who are still uneasy about sending their children maskless, are there any sort of considerations aside from you can send them with a mask if you want to, that you are able to provide to accommodate them, even if it's space or, special somethings? I mean, are you hearing from parents who say, gee, I'm really not comfortable yet? Is there anything, we can do to kind of keep them apart as much as possible?
As I said from the outset, I think that we will have parents that celebrate this change at the state level, and then there will be other parents that are very nervous about sending children to school in a learning environment where not everyone is masked. And I think that we have to prepare ourselves for that. In most cases, school districts have ample supply of medical grade masks that are fitted. So I know, looking at the situation here in Rush Henrietta, we are able to provide masks for any adult or staff member that requests one, and we're able to do the same. We have pediatric size masks for students. And so if you have a fitted medical grade mask, we're being told by medical experts that even if the person next to you isn't wearing a mask, that you would still be protected. And so, we understand that there are folks that will want to continue to mask, and everyone in our organization will be respectful of that. And so it's important to remember that just because the mandate is lifted, that doesn't mean, folks still have the option to wear a mask during the day.
Hi, Bo. This is Noelle Evans with WX6i News. You mentioned that you all haven't met with Dr. Mendoza just yet. I'm wondering when that's scheduled to happen and what's kind of on the docket to be discussed.
Later today, and I think that the conversation will focus around this very conversation. Making this transition to a mask optional policy in most of our schools, making the assumption that that's where everyone is headed, but understanding that, school boards will have to take action on this if they haven't already.
Okay, thank you.
As I said earlier, masking will still be optional on the bus as well as in our classrooms. And I think as we approach the warmer weather, there's an opportunity to leave windows cracked so that air circulation can be increased on the buses. Well, I think it depends on the type of question, but certainly I would encourage parents to use schools and the local Department of Health as resources. As I also said before, families have the option to send their children to school with masks, and all districts are going to be respectful of the fact that parents are going to have to make these individual decisions for their children on their own. Some will choose to mask, and some will, as I said, celebrate the fact that they're no longer required to mask each and every day. And certainly within our schools, we'll create that culture of respect so that everyone has everyone's decision is able to be supported.
I have another question, if you don't mind. For students who are immunocompromised, I understand that there is HIPAA, of course, but I can imagine that school nurses might have that information and could potentially recommend that some classrooms remain masked to protect those students. Has there been any conversation about that or anything on that topic?
Well, we've been making accommodations for students and staff members throughout the pandemic for those who are immunocompromised, and those practices will continue. Each district has a stockpile of fitted medical grade masks, and that's another mitigation strategy that we'll be able to provide to folks in buildings. And then we'll also continue with measures to make sure that classrooms are disinfected. As we go along, we also, at least for the time being, we'll have to wait to see what if any changes come out of the New York State Department of Health's guidance. But testing practices within districts will continue for the time being. And so it's not that all of these mitigation strategies are going to go away right away. It'll be a staggered approach.
Oh, I know some school districts use some COVID money to upgrade air filtration systems in certain buildings and things like that. Did you guys do any of that, or are you hearing of any districts doing that? Sort of in relation to all of this.
We did not here in Rush Henrietta, and quite honestly, I don't have the statistics around who might have throughout the county.
I have one more question. With this being the almost 2-year anniversary of the first COVID case here in Monroe County, would you consider this kind of decision a step towards back to normalcy?
I do. Superintendents across the state have been advocating for an off-ramp, if you will, for some time now. And I think that of positive cases plummeting across the state, that this is the right time to begin to transition to normalcy. So I understand that there will be differing viewpoints around this change, but I know that I speak for most superintendents when I say that we view this as a positive in terms of making that transition back to normalcy for students and staff in our community.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, well, I appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Bo.
All
Thanks so
have a
much.
good day.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.